Welcome. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at the 6-in-1 wall stud finder and moisture meter. So this was provided to me by the distributor, but they're not compensating me for this video and they're not reviewing it before I post it. If you find this video helpful and you want to purchase one of these, I'll put a link to it in the description on Amazon, and if you use that link it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost you anything extra. So here we have the device and we have instructions here. So let's take a look at this. We have hold, we have a right facing arrow mode button. There's a button on the side. On the back we have some felt strips. Under this cap are some electrodes for the moisture meter. Let's pull this off. Here we have a place to install a 9-volt battery. Now this doesn't come with a battery. You'll need to provide your own. Plug that in. So let's take a look at the instructions here. So this is talking about the stud finder. There's 5 different modes. It has 1/2-inch scan mode, 1-inch, and 1.5-inch scan modes. So that's for how deep your plaster or drywall would be. And then there's metal scan mode, and that detects metal up to 60 millimeters deep. And there's AC wire scan mode, and it detects live unshielded AC wires up to 2 inches deep. And then it has a moisture meter. The measurement range for wood is 6% to 60%. For building material, it's 0.2% to 2.9%. And temperature, 0 to 40 degrees Celsius or 32 to 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Accuracy in wood is plus or minus 1%. Accuracy in building material is plus or minus 0.1%. And temperature is plus or minus 2 degrees Celsius or 4 degrees Fahrenheit. Takes one 9-volt battery. The working current is 5 milliamps. Standby current is 1 microamp. Automatic power off after 3 minutes. So it talks about installing the battery. We've already done that. So I'm going to read through the rest of these directions and I'll bring up anything significant I find. So the instructions say to turn on, you press the power button. To turn it off, you hold it down for 2 seconds. And that will turn it off. Let's do that again. And this does have a backlight on it, you can see. So after you turn it on, you press the mode switch button, which is this arrow, to switch modes. So that would be 1/2-inch, 1-inch, 1.5-inch, metal, electrical. Okay, let's go to 1.5-inch mode. Let's go to metal. So to use it, you put it on the surface, you press in the scan button until it calibrates, and then you slide it along the surface. You want to do that slowly. So this table actually has metal in it right about here. Let's see if it can detect it. Now this is 2 layers of MDF. This is not a wall surface, so I don't know that this will work well. Okay, so that's off there. Like I say, this is not an actual wall, so I will test this on a wall. So when we turn this on, we can also hit mode here to go between the temperature moisture mode and the stud finding mode. So this is the temperature mode, and we'll hold it in this orientation, and it says 22.2 degrees Celsius or 71.9 degrees Fahrenheit. And we have the wood moisture mode, building moisture mode, and back to temperature. So there's this cap here. Let's see if I can get that off. And this has pins you can press into wood to measure the moisture. So I'll put this cap back on. Okay, so I would read through all of the instructions. There are some safety things in there. There's also tips in there. Like one of them, if you have a heavily textured wall, it said to put some cardboard on it so you can slide this easier. But there are other different tips and things. So I'm going to take this to a wall and we'll try and find a stud with it. And then we'll also test the moisture capabilities. Okay, I'm at a wall here. I will switch to the stud finding mode. My walls are 1-inch thick plaster walls. Now it said with plaster, it said you may want to switch to the metal mode. I'll try this first. So I'm going to hold down the side button and you'll see these bars go away. That's calibrating. So you want to do this every time. And then we'll drag over to the right. Now it's kind of hard to see this screen on the camera, but it's easy to read in person. Okay, so that missed the stud, and that doesn't surprise me completely with these walls. These walls are essentially like concrete. They're very hard underneath. Okay, there we go. So it just detected the side of the stud. There's the other side. So let's try the metal mode. Okay, I think that was a little more accurate. So if I go down here, you can see there's a vent here, and this vent is in between the studs. So that's a good thing to look at if you're testing out your stud finder, is find an outlet or a vent or something. Usually those are between studs, or these are next to a stud, and then you can test it to see how it reacts to the studs in your walls. So for my 1-inch thick plaster walls, the metal stud mode seemed to do the best deal. If you have drywall walls, I think the regular modes will work better. Okay, so I've moved over to a different house, and this is some 1/2-inch drywall with studs behind it. So this is what most people are going to have. So I'll put the stud finder on the wall here. I'll hold down the button on the side. It's calibrating. Ready to go. I'll drag it across. And here we saw the side of the stud there. Here we have center of the stud. And we have the side of the other side of the stud there. So there we go. So here's a light switch. Let's try the AC line detection. So there we are. It found that wire in the wall there. So this has the mode that detects AC wire, but if you're using the stud finding mode, it can also detect AC. So if you'll see here, what was showing up a minute ago, let's see. And in the diagram, it's right here in the upper right, and that's the AC line detection. So that can notify you of AC lines when you're in just the regular stud finding mode. Now, all that being said, you should still turn off power to any areas that you're working on. You don't want to take any chances. Okay, so let's test out the moisture meter. I have a piece of white oak here. I'll press that in here, and we're not seeing anything there. Now this may be super dry because it's winter time and this is in my basement. Let me get a different piece of wood. So here's another piece of wood. So I'm not getting anything there. I'll go wet this wood. Okay, so I've wet this wood. Let me try this now. Let me see that. Okay, so now we're getting 24.2% moisture. So I just ran this under some water, so it's definitely wet. But the wood in my shop is just too dry right now in the winter time. Even in the summertime, being in my basement, it stays very dry. But if you buy wood from a lumber yard, you can check the moisture content, and then you can dry it out to whatever your moisture content you want is before you use it. This would also be good for flooring too. If you're letting flooring acclimate, you can make sure it has acclimated before you install it. So that's the 6-in-1 wall stud finder with moisture meter. So I was happy I was able to detect studs in my plaster walls, and that wasn't just guesswork. The manual talks about that. It talks about using that metal stud mode. So as I said before, read these instructions to get the most out of this. Those walls give me a lot of trouble with stud finders, so I was happy to see that there's a mode on this that works with them. So I like the features this comes with. It can read the different wall thicknesses, it can do metal, it can do the AC lines, and then also has that moisture meter. Now I think this moisture meter will work better if you actually have moist wood to test it on. So if you're buying construction lumber, you can test your moisture on it before you start a project, and if it's not at the right moisture level, you can let it acclimate or put it in a kiln or something if you need to. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.